They called it a small mistake, a forgetful moment. You don't forget your 11-year-old child. You don't board a flight to Paris and Zurich and Salzburg and just misplace the fact that you have a daughter. For 28 days, I lived in a house that echoed with their absence. I survived on $2 and the kindness of a man who should have been a stranger. And when they finally came back, tanned and laughing, laden with souvenirs, I was no longer their little girl. I was a witness, and I had been taking notes. This isn't a story of a happy reunion. This is the confession of how a child built a case against her own parents, brick by silent brick.
The suitcase was bright, floral. My mother packed it with the focused excitement I usually only saw on Christmas Eve. "It's just a grown-up trip, Sydney," she said, not looking up from folding a silk scarf. "Aunt Linda will check in, of course. And here," she finally turned, pressing a folded bill into my palm. Her hand was cool. "For emergencies, be good." It was $2, a single crumpled bill. I stared at it, then at my father, who was already by the door, phone to his ear, talking about airport transfers. "When will you be back?" My voice sounded small, even to me. "4 weeks. You'll barely notice we're gone," she chirped, planting a perfunctory kiss on my forehead. The taxi honked. And just like that, the front door closed. The lock clicked from the outside. I stood in the sudden, immense silence of the foyer, holding my $2 emergency fund. The first seed of understanding took root then. I was not coming on this adventure. I was the chore they'd forgotten to assign. The first night was okay. I ate cereal for dinner. The house felt big, but it was still my house. I followed my normal routine. By the third day, the milk was sour. The bread had mold. The $2 felt like a joke in my pocket. I called Aunt Linda. The phone rang and rang. I later learned her checking in meant a single text to my mother, "Sydney okay?" My mother, from a cafe in Montmartre, had replied, "Great, TX." They had built a circle of assumed care, and every person in that circle had assumed someone else was holding the line. In the center of that circle, I was falling through the cracks. Survival at age 11 becomes a math problem. $2, 28 days. I did the division in my school notebook, 7 cents per day. The absurdity was a physical pain. I raided the pantry. A half bag of rice, no cooker. A can of black beans with a rusty pull tab. Condiments. Ketchup soup is as terrible as it sounds. By day 6, the hunger was a constant, hollow companion. It stole my focus in school. My teacher, Mrs. Albright, asked if I was feeling all right. I lied, just a little tired. The shame was hotter than the hunger. Admitting this felt like admitting I was unwanted. So I stayed silent. I became an expert in invisibility. After school, I started walking a different route home, past Mr. Flores's corner store. He was an older man with kind eyes who sometimes gave kids a free piece of bubblegum. I'd linger by the discounted rack, staring at the cans of soup priced at $1.29. My $2 felt both precious and useless. I couldn't spend it. It was my entire fortune. One day, as I turned to leave, empty-handed again, his voice stopped me. "Mija, you look hungry." He said it not as a question, but as a soft, sad fact. He held out a warm, foil-wrapped burrito. "Take it, no charge." That burrito was the first act of real, seeing kindness I had experienced in over a week. I ate it behind the store, tears mixing with the beans and cheese. It wasn't charity, it was a lifeline, and Mr. Flores became my first and only ally. The hunger taught me to be observant. The silence taught me to listen. Their one phone call came a week in. My mother's voice was bright with distance and whine. "Sydney, sweetie, are you being good? Is everything fine?" What could I say? No, I'm starving? The words stuck in my throat, glued by the fear that this was normal, that I was the problem for not handling it. "Yeah," I whispered. "Everything's fine." "Wonderful! We bought you a beautiful music box in Salzburg. The weather is gorgeous. Gotta run, the tour bus is leaving." The call lasted 47 seconds. I timed it. I started a log. In a secret notebook hidden under my mattress, I began to document. Day 8, one phone call, 47 seconds. Did not ask about food, school, or Aunt Linda. Day 10, electricity bill warning notice in mail, red stamp. Day 14, Mr. Flores gave me a bag of groceries, told me to be strong. He knows. Day 16, school nurse asked about weight loss, lied again, said I was on a sports diet. The notes were my anchor. They transformed the chaotic, terrifying neglect into data, facts, evidence. This was no longer just about being hungry. It was about a pattern, a choice. They chose to not check. They chose to not ask the right questions. They chose Europe over me. My heart broke, but my mind sharpened. The broken child began to recede. In her place, a quiet, furious architect started drawing blueprints. I heard the taxi before I saw it. The sound of luggage wheels on the driveway, laughter, my mother's distinct tinkling laugh. For a moment, my body betrayed me, a jolt of pure, primal relief. They're home. It's over. I almost ran to the door, but I didn't. I stayed on the couch, clutching my notebook. The door swung open. "Sydney, honey, we're home." They looked like characters from a movie, tanned, wearing new clothes, radiating the glow of a perfect holiday. They bustled in, filling the silent house with noise and baggage. My father ruffled my hair. "Look at you! Survived just fine, didn't you?" My mother held out a small, ornate wooden box. "For you, from Austria. It plays Edelweiss." I took the music box. It was cold and heavy, a bribe from a guilty conscience. I didn't open it. I looked from her smiling face to my father's, and I asked the only question that mattered. My voice was flat. "Did you ever think to call Aunt Linda? To see if she'd actually come over?" The smile on my mother's face didn't fall, it stiffened. "What? Of course I'm sure we were so busy, sweetie. It was a whirlwind." My father waved a hand. It was a minor communication snafu. All's well that ends well. Now, who wants to see pictures of the Swiss Alps? All's well that ends well? The phrase echoed in the hollow space they had carved inside me. They had rewritten history already. A month of abandonment was now a communication snafu. My $2 survival was all's well. The notebook in my hands grew heavier. This was the crime scene, and they were already trying to clean it up. That night, as they slept off jet lag, I lay awake. The music box sat unopened on my desk. I thought about Mr. Flores's kindness. I thought about the cold fear of seeing the electricity warning. I thought about the sheer, staggering normalcy with which they had returned, as if they just popped out for groceries. A new, terrifying thought emerged. If they could do this once and call it a snafu, they could do it again. What about next time? What if I got sick? What if there was a fire? I was not a daughter to them. I was a low-priority task, occasionally outsourced. The child in me wanted to scream, to cry, to force them to see the damage. The architect in me knew better. Tears would be dismissed as dramatics. Anger would be punished as disrespect. I needed a language they and the world understood. I needed authority. I needed proof. Sitting in the glow of my laptop, I typed 2 words into the search bar: Child Protective Services. Then, how to report neglect. Then, what counts as evidence. I read until my eyes burned. This was my turning point. The love I had for them, already fractured, finally crystallized into something clear and hard, a will to protect myself, because no one else would. Revenge is a hot, swift flame. This was colder. This was justice. And it would be delivered by the system they assumed would always be on their side. I became a ghost in my own home. I documented everything. I took pictures of the empty fridge with my school tablet. I photographed the unopened stack of mail, the red stamped notices. I saved the $2 bill in a Ziploc bag, Exhibit A. I recorded conversations, not with a fancy device, but by leaving my tablet's voice memo app running in my pocket. I'd ask seemingly innocent questions. Mom, remember when you were in Paris? What did you think I was eating? Her reply, distracted, Oh, Sydney, we knew you'd figure it out. You're resourceful. Dad, did you ever worry when Aunt Linda didn't answer? Worry? No, we trusted you to be responsible. Resourceful, responsible. They were reframing their neglect as my competence. Each recorded word was another nail. I wrote a formal, factual statement. I didn't use words like sad or scared. I used dates, durations, dollar amounts, lack of adult supervision, failure to provide necessities. I cited the CPS website definitions. I was building a watertight, child-sized lawsuit against my own parents. The hardest part was the goodbye. I went to Mr. Flores's store. I didn't tell him my plan, but I think he knew. You are a brave heart, he said softly, pressing a bag of churros into my hands. The world will listen to a brave heart. He was the only adult who saw me. His kindness was the counter-evidence I carried, proof that not all adults failed. The CPS hotline number was on my screen for 3 days before I dialed. My finger hovered over the call button. This was the point of no return. Making this call would shred the last pretense of our family. It would label me a snitch, a traitor, an ungrateful child. The fear was paralyzing. But then I'd open my notebook. I'd see the log of days. I'd feel the ghost of hunger in my stomach. The fear of what they might do next became greater than the fear of the explosion I was about to cause. I called from the school library during a free period. My voice trembled at first. I'd like to report suspected child neglect. The woman on the other end was calm, professional. She asked questions. I gave answers, dates, facts. I told her about the $2, the lack of food, the absent aunt, the unreturned calls. I offered to send my documentation. She was silent for a moment after I finished. Then she said the words that both vindicated and shattered me. You should not have had to go through that, honey. You did the right thing by calling. We will send a social worker. When I hung up, I was shaking. There was no triumph, only a vast, cold emptiness. I had just set a bureaucratic avalanche in motion. I had no idea where it would land, or if it would crush me too. The social worker, Miss Jenkins, arrived 2 days later. She had a gentle face but observant eyes. My parents' facade of perfect suburban life crumbled in minutes under her quiet questioning. They were all charm at first, offering coffee, talking about their trip. Then Miss Jenkins asked about provisions left for me. My mother mentioned the emergency money. Miss Jenkins asked, how much? "Oh, some cash for pizza," my mother fluttered. "It was $2, I said, my voice clear in the suddenly quiet room. I went to my room and retrieved the Ziploc bag. I handed it, along with my notebook and printed photos, to Miss Jenkins. "This is my evidence." The look on my parents' faces was a masterpiece of dawning horror. It wasn't horror at what they'd done, but at being caught, at my betrayal. My father turned purple. "This is ridiculous. She's a dramatic child. We're calling our lawyer." Miss Jenkins remained calm. She asked to see the kitchen, the pantry. She asked to speak to me alone. In my room, she didn't pity me. She respected me. "This is very thorough, Sydney. You have been incredibly brave." She explained the process: a safety plan, mandatory parenting classes, possible in-home monitoring. The word possible removal was mentioned, a last resort. The machinery of the state was now engaged. I was no longer just their child. I was a case file. The house became a war zone of silent treatments and hissed arguments. The word ungrateful was thrown at me like a knife. "After all we've given you," my mother sobbed once, holding the Salzburg music box. They couldn't or wouldn't see the connection. The souvenir was not an antidote to the poison. CPS mandated family therapy. In those sessions, their narrative unraveled. The therapist, a no-nonsense woman, called it profound parental neglect and a failure of the most basic duty of care. My parents were forced to listen. They were forced to see, through the therapist's eyes, the reality of those 28 days. There was no grand apology, no movie moment of weeping embrace. There was a slow, grudging acknowledgement, born more from legal pressure than genuine remorse. The dynamic was permanently broken. I had wielded a power they never imagined a child possessed, the power of truth, documented and reported. I won my safety. I won the guarantee of food, of supervision. But I lost the fantasy of parents who loved me instinctively, protectively. I became the watchful one, the responsible one. I parented myself from then on, with the state as my sometimes backup. It was a hollow, lonely freedom. Years have passed. I'm an adult now. We have a relationship, my parents and I. It's careful, distant, like diplomats from rival countries. Europe is never discussed. The word trip still makes my jaw tighten. They are different now, more careful, almost afraid of me. I think in their minds, I am the daughter who called the government on them, and they're not entirely wrong. But in my mind, I am the child who saved herself when no one else would. That 11-year-old girl with her $2 bill and her secret notebook taught me the most brutal and necessary lesson. Your safety is your own responsibility, and sometimes protecting yourself means burning down the idea of the family you thought you had to build a safer reality from the ashes. The music box? I never wound it. I sold it at a garage sale years later for $5, a net profit of $3 on their entire European adventure, a small, quiet closure. I used the money to buy lunch, a good, solid meal, because I could. This is my anonymous confession. I shared it because someone out there might be holding their own $2 bill, living in their own silent, empty house. If you are that person, child or adult, carrying that old wound, know this: your pain is valid. Your neglect was real. Documenting it isn't betrayal. Seeking help isn't weakness. It is the bravest form of self-defense. Your story matters. This is an anonymous confession, dramatized and inspired by real experiences shared online, presented by Reddit Sting Stories. If this story resonated with you, if it unearthed something, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We give voice to these hidden truths. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our next confession. And if you have a story begging to be told, remember our community. You are not alone.